Your portfolio WebRTC app works flawlessly on your local machine. You test it with a friend. Absolute magic! Real-time video with zero latency. Then you launch it to an enterprise client and... complete silence. Nobody can connect. Or worse, you test it with 10 users and their laptop fans start screaming like jet engines before the entire browser tab crashes. Most developers look at the MDN docs, see RTC peer connection, and think WebRTC is just a lightweight front-end API. They are dead wrong. In production, WebRTC is an intense back-end infrastructure puzzle. Today, we are tearing down the internet's most misunderstood protocol, from strict firewalls to the servers you must deploy to survive. To understand why WebRTC breaks, we have to look at what it actually is. It is not a single, elegant protocol designed in a modern lab. No, WebRTC is a Frankenstein's monster of decades-old networking standards stitched together. Under the hood, it is running ICE for finding network paths, DTLS for security, SRTP for media, and SCTP for data. We use it because it achieves something incredible, dropping latency down to 200 milliseconds. That is faster than the blink of an eye. Compare that to traditional streaming protocols like HLS, which make you wait 10 agonizing seconds. But achieving this speed requires bypassing standard web servers, and that is where the chaos begins. Imagine you want to mail a letter to a friend. Easy, right? Except you both live in gated apartment complexes with strict, aggressive security guards. These guards are firewalls and symmetric NATs. You do not know your own external mailing address because the complex hides it. To find it, you ask a public directory service. This is your stun server. It tells you your public IP and port. But what if your friend's security guard refuses to let any external mail in directly? Your direct connection is dead. Now, you must hire a dedicated courier to physically carry every single letter back and forth. In WebRTC, that courier is a turn server. This brings us to the most hated file format in modern web development, SDP, or Session Description Protocol. Ask any senior WebRTC engineer about SDP and watch them shudder. SDP is a 30-year-old, unstructured, highly unreadable text block that describes your device's capabilities. It lists your codecs, your network paths, and your security keys. To establish a connection, your browser creates an SDP offer, and the other peer returns an SDP answer. But WebRTC does not give you a way to send these text blocks to the other browser. You have to build your own signaling server, usually via WebSockets, just to pass these ugly text strings back and forth. Let's talk about the works on my machine trap. When you build a standard peer-to-peer app, you connect browser directly to browser. This mesh network is perfect for 2 people. But watch what happens when a 3rd, 4th, or 10th person joins. In a pure mesh network, every user must upload their video stream to every other participant. If you have 10 users, your browser is maintaining 9 separate upload streams and 9 download streams. At 30 users, the upload bandwidth and CPU power required will instantly melt any modern laptop. Peer-to-peer just does not scale. To break through this scaling wall, senior engineers abandon pure peer-to-peer and deploy media servers in the cloud. Instead of sending your video to 9 different people, you upload it exactly once to a selective forwarding unit, or SFU. The SFU acts as an intelligent media router. It takes your single upload and forwards it to the other 9 participants. This slashes your client-side upload bandwidth by 90%. It is how modern tools like Zoom and Discord handle massive calls. But remember, the moment you introduce an SFU, you are no longer peer-to-peer. You are now responsible for scaling massive media servers. But WebRTC is not just about video calls. There is a hidden superpower in the spec called the data channel. Unlike WebSockets, the data channel allows you to send arbitrary binary data directly between browsers over UDP. It is incredibly fast. We are talking sub-millisecond transfer speeds for multiplayer games, real-time collaboration tools, and peer-to-peer file sharing. In fact, Google Chrome alone processes over 1 petabyte of data channel traffic every single week. If you are still building multiplayer game backends with traditional TCP sockets, you are leaving performance on the table. But how do we deploy all of this without losing our minds? Historically, setting up the signaling server to exchange those SDP offers required writing complex stateful WebSocket architecture. It was a massive headache. But everything changed recently. In March 2025, the IETF officially ratified RFC 9725, introducing WHIP, the WebRTC HTTP Ingestion Protocol. Along with its counterpart, WHEP, we no longer need custom WebSockets. WebRTC signaling can now map directly to standard stateless HTTP post and patch requests. It turns a complex real-time negotiation into a clean REST API call. This is a massive paradigm shift that makes ingestion incredibly clean. While WHIP makes things easier, some developers are trying to bypass the heavy, monolithic WebRTC stack entirely. This is the unbundling of WebRTC. By combining WebTransport, which exposes raw, lightning-fast quick streams to the browser, with hardware-accelerated web codecs and WebAssembly, you can now build your own custom, lightweight media engine. Now that Safari has shipped WebTransport without flags, iOS is fully supported. Critics argue WebRTC's internal congestion control is a black box that gives developers zero control, and that this new modular approach will eventually replace WebRTC entirely. But is it ready for prime time? The reality is, WebRTC remains the undisputed king of real-time web media, but only if you respect its back-end complexity. You need Stun for discovery, Turn for firewalls, and SFUs for scale. Now, I want to hear from you. Are you Team WebRTC with its ugly SDP files? Or are you ready to jump ship to the new WebTransport stack? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you are ready to master real-time systems, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next deep